Like and subscribe right now, or this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What's something you can't believe you had to explain to another adult? That Jurassic Park wasn't a real place. I wish I was joking. And I wish you were wrong. Man, I would love to see that. This reminded me of the time some animatronic dinosaur exhibit was traveling around and was going to be at the zoo in our hometown. This was mid-90s, I think. Someone had gone to see it and wrote a letter to the editor of the small town paper to let everyone know it was a scam. They are not actual dinosaurs, they're robotic. My uncle, reading the letter, went on a rant about how shady it all was and how the advertisement sure makes it seem like they're bringing real dinosaurs. He went on for ages, never once stopping to consider what he was saying. Not all that surprising. This was the same guy who flipped out when they found a mouse in the house. They trapped it, but he was concerned that it had laid eggs somewhere in the house and they'd end up with more mice. Ah yes, those pesky mouse eggs. Pest control never seems to be able to find them. That getting paid every 2 weeks doesn't mean you pay more in taxes than getting paid every week. Try to explain tax brackets to them. That will be fun. I absolutely will not try that. Mayo. People who insist the tax brackets apply to the whole income. Yes. I got a raise, but now I actually make less money. BC I'm in a higher tax bracket. Lol. My father-in-law forbids his wife from working, apparently for this exact reason. Never mind that she hasn't worked in 30 years and would need to make 50k plus to go up the bracket anyways. Coworker of mine laughed when a customer told me he was English and said that's the language we speak, he means he's American. I had a friend when I was a kid. She was American, living here in Canada for a year. She absolutely refused to believe that the language she spoke was English. She insisted she spoke American. After about an hour of arguing about it, I finally just told her that I speak Canadian then, and I can't understand her, and left. I wonder if in hundreds of years British English and American English would diverge if we weren't so interconnected as a species. They already have, in a way. Think about slang and the more casual terms people use: lift vs elevator, lorry vs truck, bum bag vs fanny pack. You see it with France French and Canadian French too. And Spanish between Spain and Latin America. And within LA, each country has its own accent, slang, etc. Things can get unintelligible quite fast, even within your own family. Seeing eye dogs are not also blind. Justice is blind. Mr. Bluff, justice is blind. That the engines on the plane we were flying in could not be turned off during the flight just because she thought they were too loud. Well, I mean, you could. You can do anything at least once. While I'd like to believe this statement is true, I just don't see how it is possible for me to complete the Kessel Run in under 10 parsecs. I went to the store and got milk in under 100 yards. That someone can't give you AIDS by touching a door handle. And to not call the cops on this person because they have AIDS and touched a door handle. Can we just say how much we lucked out that HIV can't be spread like the normal flu, cause it would have been the plague to end all plagues. Transmits and detected with nothing but flu-like symptoms, then re-arises 1 to 2 years later as complete immune system collapse, 100% fatality rate left untreated, and no vaccine even 40 years after it first became common. Let's be real. If the government didn't treat the AIDS epidemic as a crisis of morality and actively shut down efforts to research the virus for the first 10 to 20 years, openly stating that homosexuals have waged war on God and God is now fighting back, we would have a lot more progress. If HIV was more common amongst straight white people at the time, like if it was spread through contact, things would be much different. Vitamin C and calcium are different. Well, considering vitamin D stands for dandelions, that's understandable. That you cannot get pregnant from oral sex, and that it is necessary to empty the lint trap. Same person. Okay, yeah, but. Well, would you look at that? I'm never emptying my lint trap again. I used to work at hospital. One of the most frequent things I had to tell people was why it was a bad idea to smoke near their relatives or friends who had oxygen tanks. Hey, I know people on oxygen who need to be explained this over and over. So dumb. These are the same people who need oxygen, but don't take it with them when they drive, because they are scared the cops will see it and assume they are too old to be driving. Because, of course, they are. That if you get married in Vegas it's legally binding everywhere. Wasn't that the plot of a Friends episode? Or am I thinking of a different show? Probably, haha. My husband and I were planning a trip to Vegas and a friend tried tagging along with his GF. She said they could finally get married and just elope, and he said whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I replied with, except STDs and marriage. He honestly didn't know that getting married in Vegas is legally binding. He thought it was just a fun thing people do as a joke. He's 34 and really didn't know. To be fair, it is also possible to have a fake wedding in Vegas, but yeah, there's nothing special about Las Vegas that automatically makes weddings non-binding. That Portugal isn't next to Brazil and Spain isn't just south of the border. I have friends who thought China was in Japan, and that Japanese and Korean are the same thing. So are ya Chinese or Japanese? I'm Laotian, I'm from Laos. The ocean? What ocean? Once met a girl who thought there was a sun for every state. Just remember, every time you look up at the moon, I too will be looking at a moon. Not the same moon, obviously. That's impossible. Crap, I know this quote, but I can't think of what it's from. It's on the tip of my tongue. Parks and Rec. Andy says it to April before he goes to stay in London. Back when COVID was first starting, I was talking with a patient at our office who asked if it was safe to eat at Chinese restaurants because of coronavirus. I explained politely, while internally facepalming, that it is totally fine, to which the woman replied, thank God, I'm totally craving sushi. Then I had to explain the origin of sushi, the most quintessentially and widely known Japanese dish in American culture. Edit, I still maintain it was an ignorant statement, but till sushi is common at Chinese restaurants, so maybe she wasn't totally off base. Also, you guys are right, not willful, so not racist. Just ignorant. Thanks Reddit. Some Chinese food shops in my town delivered their food in Corona beer boxes at the start of the pandemic. r/madlibs. That thunder is not the result of clouds running into each other. Edit, I thought it'd be useful to include a brief description of how thunder is actually produced. There seems to be a lot of people with questions or thought it was actually clouds. Edit 2, I should have clarified, they thought it was the actual sound of clouds crashing, so result is not the right word to use. Background story, we were swimming in a lake, and we heard thunder. I said we better get out of the water. Friend replied with, why? There's no lightning. After a brief pause, I explained that there had to have been, since we heard thunder. Friend still looked confused. I asked, what in the world do you think causes thunder? She said thunder is the sound clouds make when they run into each other. You gotta admit, that's a pretty hilarious idea though. I'm now making a conscious decision to believe this, and only this for the rest of my life, because I have sensory issues and I'm very afraid of loud thunder. This somehow makes it adorable and less terrifying. Thank you, internet stranger. That there, in fact, wasn't a World War III. Edit, she thought the American Civil War was the First World War, and so on. She didn't know the difference. Edit 2, I'm strictly speaking about how the United States educational system labels World War I and World War II. Obviously there have been other world wars. I don't know why people feel the need to keep commenting this. All of you'll know exactly what I meant. Yet. Tenet, 2020, has entered the chat. My boss once asked me what you're supposed to do with trash if you don't have a garbage disposal in your sink. Confused, I said, you mean, like put it in a trash can? He said, "Is that what it is?" Never seen someone that disconnected from reality. Was he putting all of his trash down the disposal? I once had upstairs neighbors who did this. Of course, they put it in a trash bag first. Then when they ran their dishwasher, our kitchen flooded. When the maintenance man pulled out bits of plastic bag from our drain, he told my roommate to not do that. He replied, "We know not to do that. Tell that to the numbskulls upstairs." I had to explain to my 32-year-old sister that dogs have a normal vision and not vision based on movement like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. As a half-blind person, it is much easier to see a moving object than a stationary one. So even though dogs' vision isn't based on movement, I'm sure movement does help. I guess that's where the myth comes from. Is that thing about T-Rex vision even true? Wouldn't they be tripping over stationary objects all the time if you could only see movement? I doubt we know much of anything about the specifics of a T-Rex's vision, given that all we have are fossils. But for something with sufficiently bad vision, an unmoving person might just appear to be part of the surroundings, especially if they have any sort of camouflage. That your 2-year-old needs an appointment for checkups. It's not a walk-in situation. They had been deciding when they wanted to go and just showing up, then complaining because they weren't seen in a reasonable amount of time. She was 24. This is parents not explaining stuff to their kids. Will Smith made $6 million on rap music in high school, but his mother never told him about income tax. The eyes took all of the money he had, everything he owned, and handed him $1 million tax bill. https://www.yahoo.com/watch v = lz2xqk0dcw. That you shouldn't try and get your toast out of the toaster with a conductive metal fork if your toast is stuck. And that when the fuses trip, you just got a visual indication of how close you came to death by electric shock. And that after explaining it once already, resetting the fuse box, and watching the lights turn off 2 minutes later, I know you've done it again. Unplug the toaster before you jam metallic objects in it, you moron. Remember, some appliances have powerful enough capacitors to hold a charge well after they're unplugged. Hey, I just wanted a bagel during my bath, and it got stuck. Okay. Thank you for supporting Planet Reddit. I love you. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.